like the last week or something, and it was crazy. And he didn't give us our deposit back. Fucking criminals. They said that like we trashed their place, which we didn't. I totally cleaned it up. So that pissed me off. And so then the next semester too, I got a room with one of my friends who I did the trip in Canyonlands with. But originally it was with this girl. It was me and this girl at this house right at the base. It was the second house, literally, from this big S descent down from the campus. It was like the closest house to campus. It was awesome. With this girl, and then and then she wanted to save money, so she wanted to have her own little partition in the living room, divided from a freaking, like a tapestry. And so then this other guy had a room, and I had a room, and then she had that area. This girl was having a rough time. It was like one of these people who shouldn't have been in college, and she was like really grumpy and like in the couch all day long, like with a blanket pulled over her head, and every time you'd walk in the house, she'd groan. And she really didn't like me for some reason. But we had like a backyard, and we had these other two roommates who were like on the other section of this duplex house who we hung out with. And let's see. And so that was the second semester. I did some biking with my friend also that year. Not my original bike race friend. He was going to see you the next year, but my other roommate. And then we were going to climb Mount McKinley with my Indian friend and this other guy. So we were like climbing and on the weekends and climbing mountains every weekend and stuff, training for that. But then my friend fell out of his car. He was going to Joshua Tree to climb with this kid. He was like a really good climber. And but I guess they were he was in his back of his pickup, and he was gonna they were gonna switch drivers, and he was going 80 miles an hour. So he went to hang off the back of his pickup because he was expecting the car to slow down, and they had slowed down to about 60, but the bar broke. And so he fell on the pavement going 60 miles an hour and like had to roll up like in a ball and was like tumbling down and like barely crawled himself off the road after he came to a stop, and like completely thrashed this like heavy duty jacket he was in. And that wasn't even his jacket, it was his friend's jacket, but I guess he replaced it for him. And but he had to get all this skin grafting done, and so we couldn't do the McKinley trip. And the other kid couldn't do it either, and I don't know if I would have been able to afford it either. But anyways, it was cool. I was like swimming a lot that semester too, like getting in shape. Oh yeah, there was a triathlon. I did the triathlon too at campus in freshman year. That was pretty fun. Can't remember what place I got. I think I got top 10 in the expert division though, which is pretty good because I'm a horrible swimmer. And my friend, she won it actually. My roommate from first semester, second year. But let's see. And then so that was the second year. And then that summer, my friend, he was a commercial fisherman in Alaska, and he had a year-long lease, so he let me stay in his house for free that summer. So I lived there that summer, and worked as a dishwasher. It wasn't very fun. Did a little bit of mountain biking with this kid who I worked with because he was a mountain bike racer. But then, let's see, third year, I got a house. We got this house that was man, 34 minutes already? Jesus. That was it was on First Street. It was pretty close to campus, on the old part of campus. Pretty close. It didn't take long at all to get to campus from there, but it was this house that was like totally run down. It was like totally thrashed. So it was really cheap rent. It was cool. It was like a 3-bedroom house. and then like another 2 bedrooms on top of that, and then an attic, and then another dirt-laden basement room, and then another room that I made a climbing room. I made this awesome climbing room out of it. It was awesome. But we got a whole bunch of roommates in there. Like originally it was me and my friend and this kid who I worked with. Me and my friend who I did the trip in Canyonlands with. And but but this kid, the mountain bike racer kid, he left. He brought his brother there. Like if there were eventually like 14 rent-paying people living in this 3-bedroom house. There was like me. I had my own room, which is a really big room, and then my friend had a basement room, and then there's this dude living in this camper shell in the back with his girlfriend, and then these 2 girls in the attic, and then like these 2 other guys in the welcome room, living room, and then 2 other guys in the other room, and then 2 other guys in the other living room, and it was like 14 people. It was crazy. But this bike racer kid and his brother like left, and they stole a whole bunch of stuff. They stole like $1,000 worth of painting stuff from my friend in the back, and then like a really expensive Buddha for me that was probably worth like $10,000. And then a bike from my other roommate, and then we got this other roommate in, and so it was like 3 of us who were actually in school, but the other people were just workers. And it was like a crazy house because it was like a haunted house. And there was this room, it was one of the living rooms called the death room, because this kid 3 years beforehand had blown his brains out. And there was like blood all over the floor. And they didn't even clean the blood up. It was like under this like really cheap, rug you can just place on top, carpet you just place on top. So we just pull the carpet up, and there'd be all this blood splatter. Yeah, there's where he died, and it was supposed to be like totally haunted. And like our neighbors who were these Indians said that they'd always hear my radio in my room blasting at full blast. And so he'd have to come in my room to turn the radio off, even if when there's like nobody in the house. And he said that that happened all the time, and I never turned that radio on. And it's crazy. One day, like one of his friends of my roommates who hung out with us like a lot for a time decided that he was going to have a party there without even asking anybody. He's just like, oh yeah, there's going to be a huge party here tonight. And we're like, why? He's like, the original house, like, fell through, so I told him we could have it here. And we're like, is that cool? And my other roommate was like, no. He's like, oh, well, it's too late. So like an hour later, like hundreds of kids were over there, like partying at our house. It was like high school party or something. And they'd have like a party every night, every weekend, another house, some like party club or something. And then the cops came and broke it up, and like then he made me be the guy who talked to the cops and told them like to apologize and kick everybody out or something. But I guess like the next party after that, there was a drive-by. Somebody shot a bunch of bullets that went through the house. Yeah, and then that summer, or the summer before that actually, I was living in there for like a little bit. But I was in there hanging out with some of my friends who had taken the house, and we got jumped by a bunch of Hispanic, like local kids, like attacked my friend, and so I was like really stoned. Like I had just gotten done smoking like 5 bowls and like 2 huge joints, like literally right before we left the house. Walking down the trail, down the road to this other friend's house. And these kids like come up to my friend and they're like talking trash to him, and he's like not being very good about, being cool to him. He's like, I'm only living here because I have the money. And he like turns away from him to walk away, so they attack him. And I was all high. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I set my bike down and I attacked them, even though there's like 6 of them. So I'm punching on like 2 or 3 of them, and then next thing I know, they're all turned on me, and my friend was gone. he had run off. And then one of them's on my bike, so I had to run